Hi guys, Evette Rose here, and welcome to our mini workshop. We're going to be talking today about don't just survive, it is time to thrive. Hi everyone, Evette Rose here. Welcome. I am so excited to be hosting this mini workshop here for you guys. And just quickly, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Yvette, and I'm also the founder of the healing technique called Metaphysical Anatomy Technique, MAT, as well as the big book Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a big book of 679 medical elements, almost 800 pages. And this is all the psychosomatic stress for adults. And if your body is, talking, you feel this message is going on, and you can't figure out what it is, this book is going to be telling you exactly the patterns and certain trauma points and stress that needs to be resolved to help you to improve your quality of life. And that book is also all about your body is talking. Are you listening? And yes, of course, we have the kids version as well for children. And your ancestry is talking. Are you listening? You can find all of that at evettebooks.com. Guys, I'm really looking forward to this. So also remember, we also have our Intuitive Body workshop coming up where you learn how to read the body like a book. Come to the MAT Level 1 Trauma Release course, because then you can learn how to release trauma gracefully, easily, and gently. Resolve, pain, addictions, emotional trauma, whatever patterns it is that you're feeling stuck with. And I will also be teaching our spirit workshop guide. Come and learn how to work with your spirit guides, how to heal with them, how to create your own, methods, as well as also how to become a medium and learn how to talk to animals and heal animals as well. So guys, I'm really looking forward to this workshop here with you. So let's dive straight into this. So when we just look at the title already, it's all about, being stuck in that mindset, being stuck in the rat race, as I would call it. It's all about survival, survive, go, 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 work, 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 income, money, because that directly targets our nervous system. It directly targets our primal instinctive responses. And when these instinctive responses are triggered, meaning when we feel that we are in a state of deprivation or lack, it's going to send off warning signals throughout the body and the nervous system, and the body is going to react in a state of panic, of wanting to overcompensate now and create abundance in one way or another. Now, there's really nothing wrong with that, to be honest. The problem is how we go about it. How we go about it. Now, when I say abundance, a lot of people think ka-ching, money. No, abundance is not all about money. My definition of abundance is to have safe love, stable and loyal love, and support. That is my definition of abundance, because when I have that, abundance and all other aspects, friends, money, everything, it just flows. So that is my platform of abundance. So that's also very important, something for you to just think about, just planting that seed in your mind. What is your definition of abundance, right? So that's also something to just simmer on it, because we'll dive a little bit later into that in this talk. Now, at the end of the day, when we get stuck in the rat race, when we get stuck in just, we feel like all that we do is we're just trying to survive. We can barely just look out the window and enjoy this beautiful view. We can barely think of, what am I going to do this weekend to just rest and relax? Maybe you feel guilty when you sit down and to just rest or relax, or you feel like I always have to be working hard. I have to suffer before I can get what I want. Things can't be easy. We've all been there. I've been there. I get it. And you could feel like, you're giving it your all. You're always, you're hammering it out. And you feel like you're the hamster in the wheel. You're working hard towards nothing. A lot of us can sometimes get stuck in that temporarily, and some of us might feel like it's just never ending. Now, what's driving this rat race mentality? Basically what I'm going to call it, it's a rat race. And sometimes when you see rats, and the reason why I call it that is sometimes when you see rats running, they're senselessly sometimes running somewhere, but they don't always know where they're going to go when they get scared, right? They just want to get away. There's no real actual plan, so this is basically what happens. And even if we have a plan, sometimes we can feel so stressed, so overwhelmed that we get scattered. And then when we are scattered, our approach to our goal is going to be scattered. And that means your plans are going to be thrown upside down. Your approach is going to be thrown upside down. Your confidence might also be thrown upside down. Now, at the end of the day, we all want certainty in our lives, right? We want to have certainty, when we wake up, and to know that everything is going to be okay. I mean, who doesn't want that? Now, that also deeply correlates into our happiness. Now, I mentioned happiness here because this is fundamentally important, because our definition of it plays a very big role in also how we create good or bad habits. Because when we, for example, say, I will only be happy when I get this, I will only be happy when I have the ideal partner. Well, why can't you be happy right now with the body that you have, the friends that you have, the family that you have, the life that you've created so far, the job that you have, or talents that you're tapping into that you already have? There's so much that we already have, but we throw all of that out of the box, completely out of the equation, because we have our eye fixated on the carrot on the stick. Now, what happens is we get addicted to the journey to getting the goal. So what happens when we get the goal? We have to repeat, because the goal is not so satisfying anymore, because we were staying longer in the place of pain rather than enjoying the outcome. And when we stay long periods of time in the place of pain or discomfort or in the rat race, that becomes your default. That now becomes actually your comfort zone. Why? Because the body adapts. The body adapts. And the body now is getting wired that when I want something, I have to stress, I have to suffer, I have to be in a rat race. So what do? We might actually even end up sabotaging the thing that we want because we're not in the rat race. It's too easy. We can't just have it. No, there must be suffering. And this is also a very, very powerful and strong ancestral memory that we also have from the past. And it keeps coming back and it bites us in the ass. It really does. And for me also, I get it. I'm not preaching to the choir here. Like, absolutely. I've been to the ringer myself as well, where I'm sometimes sitting down, I'm like, oh my God, Yvette, just get a grip on yourself. Like, what are you doing? You're tired. You're this, you're that. Why are you in the rat race? Take a step back. Get out of the race. There's nothing to race towards. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Pace yourself, right? Pace yourself. But it's that urgency. It is that survival response, that nervous system that's just flooded with cortisol. And the body's trying to get rid of this cortisol because the body's in a state of panic. And that is why we get stuck in the pattern of feeling like we always have to do something. We need to go, 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 because this cortisol needs to get out. Way back in the past, our ancestors had wonderful ways to get rid of this cortisol. I mean, they had to run everywhere they wanted to go. They had to walk long distances. They had to do hard labor and work. So their bodies got used to actually releasing the stress. But look at our life right now. We have cars. We sit in front of the computer the whole day. What do we do to get rid of this cortisol that's stuck in the muscles and in the body? It gets stuck. Hello, anxiety. Your body can only handle so much. Like a glass can only handle so much water until it starts to overflow. So when we look, right? So coming back to what I was explaining, with this happiness and the carrot and the stick and the rat race. So when this basic instinctive need is now not achieved, right? Meaning we need to feel safe. We need to feel in control. We want to feel happy. Now the body goes into a state of discomfort. And even, when stress is starting to build more and more and more, when we feel this for a long period of time, the stress becomes stronger. Meaning our need to relieve the stress becomes stronger. And the lack of what we want and need becomes magnified, putting the body and the mind in a state of feeling unresourceful. Now what happens? This is now the sad part. And I say sad because it's hard to catch it. So now what happens is when we go into a pattern where we want to work, and we feel so overwhelmed, so stressed, right? And we feel we need a relief. So we have a glass of wine, or we have a cigarette, or we go clubbing and we get hooked on drugs or whatever, and we completely overdo it. Because the moment when you have that 5% relief of a 95% problem, that 5% can feel like it becomes 95% in that moment. It's called instant gratification. And then we wanted more and more and more. And this is also how we can adapt to addictive patterns, addictive thought patterns, addictive behavioral patterns as well. So this is also a very, very important point where addictions can also be formed. Why do I talk about that? Because this is something that can actually trigger and cause us to become even more stuck in the rat race. Because now we're creating another problem on the side that we have to try to work around or through or with, right? It adds to the challenge. It adds to the suffering of having to work even harder now because now I have more baggage to work through. Some people might feel temporarily exhilarated by it because it creates that adrenaline of more challenges. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But I can do this for how long? That's the question. Because at some point, our health is going to give us a kick up the butt. It can be in the form of chronic fatigue, ailments, diseases, whatever it is, anxiety, depression. And now what also happens is that the nervous system becomes stuck in survival mode. Now, it also begs the question, what are you most in fear of? Or what are you constantly fighting against? Because the answer to this question, this is now your subconscious mind that's still trying to resolve an unresolved traumatic stressful event through certain activities that you have during the day and decisions that you're actually making. We have these subconscious drivers, and the answer to that question can potentially be one of them. Because we behave and we act in ways to find relief from this unidentified fear, right? Because the body is biochemically reacting to these old memories and they feel the stress, but we can't identify why we feel the stress. And then we keep acting and behaving in ways to relieve ourselves from the stress. But we're also addicted to the stress. This is the rat race. This is where we become scattered, right? Because now it's stirring up all these subconscious memories in the mind, which is constantly being triggered by our feedback, meaning feedback is your environment. And then we react to how we feel, which is the fear, and it's not necessarily towards what we necessarily want to feel. And we start to feel powerless towards our fears. And then we start to act in ways to find relief rather than creating a life that is healthy and comfortable, which brings true happiness. Because at this point in time, our happiness is outside of ourselves. Our happiness is now in the hands of our environment, people, habits, and circumstances. And these things outside of you is constantly going to fluctuate. They're going to change. They're going to go this left, up, and down. And that means what? Your happiness is constantly going to fluctuate and be all over the show. And that's why we're always going to feel that happiness is not in us. That is why it's important to create such an important fundamental resource of happiness and a feeling of abundance within us. And how I normally do that is you have to find out by joining me at matmembers.com, and you can actually watch the webinar replay of this mini workshop there, because there you're going to be seeing the full mini workshop. I'm going to be asking you questions. We're going to be diving into the healing sessions all together as well. So guys, if you want to continue this and dive deep, I'll see you there.